Luis Castillo trade rumors are everywhere right now. And what's tricky is there's a lot of teams that could actually pull off the trade. So everything we're hearing about Mets or Cubs or Red Sox, it extends to about 7 or 8 teams. So we're going to fire up the trade machine for Luis Castillo and try to find the team that makes the most sense, that can put the best value together for Luis Castillo. But as I'll show you, is the team that can put together the best value this team that can also put together the biggest impact of a trade. So we're going to fire up the trade machine for Luis Castillo, and these are the 7 teams that we are going to dig into: the Giants, Cubs, Orioles, Braves, Mets, Blue Jays, and Boston Red Sox as potential Luis Castillo trade partners. Now, we have a $7.7 million value attached to Luis Castillo on baseball trade values. When we consider those 7 teams, and they're really for this situation, considering Seattle's looking for a position player in return or a package centered around a position player that can help right now, we have to identify, or we can identify, a top trade chip for all of those potential partners that sort of hit that right on the head. For the San Francisco Giants, it's Lamont Wade. For the Chicago Cubs, it's Nico Hoerner. For the Baltimore Orioles, it's Ryan Mountcastle. For the Atlanta Braves, it's Nacho Alvarez. For the Toronto Blue Jays, it's Davis Schneider. For the New York Mets, it's Ronnie Mauricio, who will be returning from injury in 2025. And for the Boston Red Sox, it's the big one. It's Tristan Casas. So every single trade, all 7 that we're going to look at, the center of the trade will be the position player that inserts into the Seattle lineup right now. First up, it's the San Francisco Giants. Yes, Lamont Wade carries a $7.6 million value, but as we're kind of picking up from the Seattle side of things, that's not going to work. A 1-for-1 Castillo for Wade isn't going to work. We're hearing that a Castillo for Casas 1-for-1 wasn't really going to work, though I think that was probably rejected on the Boston side. But either way, that $7.7 million value, I think Seattle values him higher than that. So we're going to have to add some pieces. First, for the San Francisco Giants, it's Wade to Seattle. Now remember, Wade is a free agent at the end of the year. So again, we have to add some more pieces here. In addition, we are going to send Tyler Rogers to add into that Seattle bullpen. And Rogers was good last year. He's also a free agent at the end of the year, though. But we're going to add the prospect Bo Davidson. Bo Davidson is an outfielder, and he is the number 15 prospect in the San Francisco Giants organization. This helps Seattle right now, a bat, a bullpen piece, and for the future with the addition of Bo Davidson to the package. Let's look at what a Cubs trade could look like. Now, this is one Seattle fans are not going to love, because look at that $20.9 million value for Nico Hoerner. What does that mean? That means Seattle has to add a piece to it. We are going to add Tyler Locklear, and that gets us to a place where we can do this trade. But again, Seattle fans, I don't think you want to add anything to this. And there's a chance that after the Tucker trade, the Chicago Cubs may be holding on to Nico Hoerner. But we're hearing tons of talk about the Cubs looking for a starter, maybe being involved in trade talks for Seattle and Luis Castillo. Let's go to the Baltimore Orioles next. And again, centering around Ryan Mountcastle, we have to add a piece, though, because again, similar to the Giants conversation, it can't do a 1-for-1. Just isn't going to work. We're going to need to add a prospect or maybe add a couple of pieces like we did with the San Francisco, where there's a player that somehow carries negative value in baseball trade values to bring the value down, but then we boost it back up with a prospect. In this situation, we don't have to do that. In this situation for the Baltimore Orioles, we are going to just straight up add Hudson Haskin. He is an outfield prospect, the number 27 prospect in the Orioles organization. So again, we got to get to that point whereby baseball trade values, the median value is a little bit of an overpay. And we do that here with the Orioles. And the Orioles get a starting pitcher. They get a starting pitcher for 3 years, maybe a fourth, depending on the whole vesting element to that. $24 million a year, $24 million a year. Are you doing that if you are Mike Elias? This is a top of the rotation arm. Orioles have to do something, right? The Atlanta Braves are next. The Atlanta Braves rotation situation after the top three kind of gets a little question marky. Now, Strider will be back at some point, but wouldn't this be a great addition for the Atlanta Braves to throw Luis Castillo into their rotation? You have Nacho Alvarez as the centerpiece, made his debut last year. He's ready to play every day in Seattle. We're going to have to add a couple pieces here because that's, again, a 1-for-1 isn't going to happen. So we have to bring the value down for Alvarez, but then boost it back up a little bit. And that's what we're going to do. We are going to add Pierce Johnson, who wasn't awful last year, could still be a good contributor to the bullpen. He carries a negative $1.9 million value. And then we boost it back up, though, with the addition of Jesse Franklin. And at this point, Jesse Franklin and his progression with the Atlanta Braves kind of feels like he's going to need a change of scenery to have an opportunity. I feel like he's blocked at the major league level. They keep trading for guys instead of promoting him up through the ranks. Maybe he just isn't ready, but you add him into this deal, and I think you can get it done. You can get Luis Castillo for a package that includes Alvarez, Johnson, and Franklin. Let's keep moving to the Toronto Blue Jays side of things. Again, Davis Schneider is the centerpiece. We have to add more to that because, as we have now identified, and I'm beating a dead horse, a 1-for-1 doesn't work, even if that one does slightly go over in value. We got to bring it down and then boost it back up to get a package that the Mariners will accept. What's that package going to be? We're going to include Zach Pop. Again, decent arm. Not somebody you want necessarily in the 7th or 8th, but an arm to bolster and add depth to your bullpen. And we include Cutter Coffey. Cutter Coffey is a shortstop, and he is the Blue Jays' number 26 prospect by Baseball America. This gets us to a place where the Blue Jays could do this deal. And the Blue Jays are here because they're linked to Corbin Burnes. What does that tell you? This team wants to add another top of the rotation arm. And Luis Castillo is going to cost far less than Corbin Burnes would. Let's go to the New York Mets next. Mets keep being linked to a trade talk and starting pitching talk. Trade talk with Luis Castillo is also percolating. We get a Luis Castillo to the Mets for Ronnie Mauricio. And this is the exception. This is the one where we're not going to, and this is, I'm taking over. I'm taking over the trade machine here. We're not going to bring the value down because we are going to add another piece, but we're in a situation with Ronnie Mauricio in the New York Mets where Ronnie Mauricio is about as expendable comes. And Luis Castillo fits a perfect need for the New York Mets. So even though the values don't necessarily line up, Ronnie Mauricio has nowhere to play next year. So this is kind of where we're at. It's time to give Ronnie Mauricio a chance to go play somewhere else. And we're going to add another player that needs a chance to go play somewhere else because he has been eclipsed in the farm system. A change of scenery would do this guy wonders. No, it is not Jeff McNeil, because again, we're talking about farm system here. I did consider the idea of including Jeff McNeil to bring Mauricio's value down and then add a piece, just keep adding pieces. But honestly, is Seattle going to trade for Jeff McNeil? They're not. So we had to pull that out. Instead, we're going to have JT Schwartz. JT Schwartz, first baseman, carries a little bit of value. He's getting up there in age. He has no chance to crack this major league roster. He's going to end up in a Rule 5 draft at some point. Move him in a trade for Luis Castillo. I think it helps get the deal done. And the Boston Red Sox, this is the big one. Castillo, Dahlbeck, centers around those two pieces. Dahlbeck is the big one. Now, this was some trade talk that was shot down. Was it a shot down on Seattle side? Was it a shot down on Boston side? What either I'm doing. We have to add some pieces here to make this work. This is what we have from the trade machine. It spits out Matt Brash, who carries a $27 million value. Oh my God. I don't know how, but we're going to use it because it helps us here. And we're going to include a Red Sox prospect, Mikey Romero, who carries a $4.3 million value. You move those numbers around, and we have we have a 34. You add some percentage points in there. We have a very fair trade here for both sides. So, all of the trades have now been run through the system. The machine is going to spit out 2 different trades. The first, what's the best value? From a what are we getting back perspective, the best value for the Seattle Mariners in all of these trades, all 7 of them, comes from the New York Mets, getting JT Schwartz and Ronnie Mauricio. But there's some question marks. What's Ronnie Mauricio going to be next year, coming back from injury? We know the talent is there, but how is he? So let's stick this right back into the trade machine. And what's the biggest impact that we can generate for the Seattle Mariners? That is going to come by way of the Boston Red Sox trade, bringing Tristan Casas over, also getting the prospect Romero, sending Brash, who's also coming back from injury. A lot of injuries in this video. Brash coming back from injury. You get Castillo's money off the books, and you have the ability to now spend in other areas. Grab another infielder, grab some more pitching, but it gives you some financial flexibility moving Castillo's money off the books. And Bobby Dahlbeck is still in pre-arbitration. So it's not like, not Bobby Dahlbeck. Oh my God. Tristan Casas, I incredibly, extremely, monumentally apologize for that one. Jesus. I think I need to send Tristan Casas a Christmas card after that. You've got a pre-arbitration player in Tristan Casas. So it's not like he's got a $9, $10, $12, $15 million arbitration figure attached to him. He does not. He's still in pre-arbitration. So he's cheap considering what he brings to the table. That is the Luis Castillo trade machine. What do you think? This is our first trade machine video. If you liked it, hit that like. It lets me know that we can do more videos like this for other players that are out there swirling in the trade winds. Leave your comments down below. Which trade did you like the most? If you are one of the teams involved in a Luis Castillo potential trade, are you interested, or do you want to just pause, hold, you have no interest? Leave your comments and thoughts down below, everybody. Make sure to subscribe if you have not yet as well. Don't want you to miss any of the upcoming content. And again, if you like the trade machine thing, leave that like, let me know, and we'll keep doing it. All right, guys, I'm out of here. BALLCAP Nation, I salute you, especially those of you that made it to the end. It does amazing things for the algorithm, so I appreciate you for that. Make sure to hit that like on the way out. And remember, if it's low, let it go. And if it's high, let it fly. I'll catch you next time.